What's up, everybody? It's Justin. Welcome to Facebook Live. Ask Me Anything, number 83. Hanging out, chilling in my house. See this over here? Look, I'm finally getting good at this reverse thing. My left hand is my right hand on the screen. It's so weird. The Hermitage Happy Place. Ding, 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 ding. See that over there? The Hermitage Happy Place. That's the name of my Airbnb because my house is an Airbnb now. I got to get out of here tomorrow, go stay with Dad for a while because I got people coming in all the time. I have so many people coming in. This is just a random piece of personal information. This Airbnb experiment that I've taken on has been so lucrative that I might have to move out of this house and get a new place to stay. I'm not kidding. I might actually just turn this into an income property, but pretty crazy. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. It's really crazy when you start thinking outside of the box and coming up with different sources of income and things like that and just kind of thinking outside of the norm, right? It's a little weird. I gotta be a little bit nomadic, go stay at mom's house, go stay at dad's house. It works for me because my family's so close to here. Like all my family lives in the same town, right? So this wouldn't be an option for everybody, of course, but it's panned out quite well for me. I have some San Pellegrino here that was delivered to me because I can't even find the time to buy my own damn groceries anymore. So people bring them to me in their cars because it's 2019 and we could do that, right? I'll try not to drink in the microphone. That's bad etiquette, everybody. If you've never worked with microphones before and you're ever doing an interview, don't swallow in the microphone, okay? What's up, everybody? What's up, Judy? What's up, Kayla? What's up, Jennifer? What's up, Shannon? What's up, Tammy? What's up, Clint? What's up, everybody? You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. This is AMA number 83. This is going to be a super chill one. I just want to sit down and hang out with you guys because I'm stressed as really stressed out lately. There's just a lot of work. I'm always transparent with you guys. Clovis is awesome. Clovis is also super hard. It's the most challenging thing I've ever done. It's the most challenging work I've ever taken on. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just do this entrepreneurship thing. I learn as I go, and I don't know how to do a skill. I Google and I figure it out and I do it. So for the last week or so, I've somehow turned into a coder, learning HTML and JavaScript and all these kinds of things, and calling a lot of business mentors from all around the world and really getting some help from them. I am lucky to have some amazing, amazing, amazing business contacts in my life that I can network with and really get some good advice from and try to figure this out because it's super stressful, man. It's crazy stressful. It's just endless. What you guys see is 1/10 of the tip of the iceberg of Clovis to make this big giant machine run, right? It's really, really quite strange, but I'm loving it. It's awesome. It's super challenging. It's also super, super rewarding. It's the most rewarding work I've ever done, which is great. So some days I have really tough days. It's really hard, a lot of work, you know, and it's always, always, always 100% worth it. Then I get to be here with you. Like I look forward to AMA days every single week. I'm like, man, I just want to go hang out with my people and talk to them. So that's what tonight's is. You guys, I asked you for questions in the Clovis Academy today, and you did not disappoint. I got a boatload of questions. This was probably one of the most questions submitted for an AMA episode was today. Today was really, really busy for you guys. Questions, submissions, and there's a lot you want to talk about. So let's dive in, all right? Do me a favor, click the happy button, click the love button, click the heart button, click the share button right now and share this to your timeline. Remember, the more we share these things, the more we can bring people into Clovis. I also put this post up Instagram stories, swipe up feature on Instagram, trying to get people into this live room so we can chat about some really cool stuff. So first things first, let's dig in because there's a lot to talk about tonight. So what I want to start by talking about is I'm going to do a giveaway for you guys, a giveaway of these shirts that I'm wearing right now. These are my old school tribal tees. I call these the old school tribal tees. And these only exist in my house. They're in my house. And if you want one, I have to ship it to you. I'll be in charge of all the distribution and shipment for that and everything. But I do have a request. I have to bribe you guys because Jackie went live and tried to ask you guys about this inside of I Am Clovis, the Facebook group. I really need more testimonies, okay? So Clovis is changing the world in significant ways, but I don't have enough of you documenting it via video. And video is king. Video is king on the internet. Let me repeat that. Video is king. If it's not video, it basically doesn't exist anymore on the internet in 2019. So I need videos from you. In exchange for those videos, I'm going to give you free t-shirts. I'm going to ship them from my house to your house, okay? I will ship them myself. I'll package it for you. I'll fold it for you and everything, okay? But here's what I need. I need you guys to send me videos. So I have created a Dropbox link, and all you have to do is click the Dropbox link. And even if you don't have Dropbox, you can upload a video to that folder that I created. Now, this can be a very, very, very simple video. Super, super simple. Doesn't have to be crazy. You just need to have the video on yourself, try to have some kind of decent lighting, and then just say literally, My name is blank. I am a Clovis client. I have lost X pounds since I started Clovis. I have lost X inches since I started Clovis. Working with Justin has been blank. And my favorite victory since starting Clovis is blank, right? I mean, this can literally be a 30-second video, a 20 to 30-second video. It can be a 10-minute video if you want it to be. It can be whatever length video that you want, okay? So this, you literally just need to say, my name is blank. I've lost this many pounds on Clovis. I've lost this many inches on Clovis. I've had to buy a whole new wardrobe. Working with Justin is blank. I really like talking to him because of XYZ. And I'm so glad I found Clovis. The biggest thing that Clovis has changed for me has been XYZ. I quit my job. I got off medications. My cholesterol is better. I sleep better, better sex, whatever you want to say, literally anything. Okay. So you guys need to send that to that folder that is shared for you. I want to put that in the show notes as well. I'm going to share this in the groups as well. If you've been on Clovis for any length of time, enough to just tell people about your experience, then go ahead and do that. Share, share, share. Okay. The more testimonies, the better. So send me those videos. I have big plans for those videos. I'm working behind the scenes on an awful lot of things. So I need those videos ASAP. The sooner, the better. I will send you a free t-shirt, assuming that I have your size. I have a big stack of these in the closet, so I should have your size. If I don't have your size, I will come up with something else for you, some kind of free gift. We can talk on the phone, whatever. We can figure out what you want to do in exchange for that. But just get me those testimonies, okay? That's a big deal. I need this stuff. I am asking you directly for help, okay? I never pull this card, but I help a lot of people all the time, and I need your help right now, okay? Testimonies. If I've changed your life in any meaningful way, please help me out with this, okay? It would be awesome. Yes, I was just telling my husband today. Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. Shannon, I quit my job. Fantastic. Michelle, I quit my job too. A lot of people quit the job since Clovis. That is a trend, and I'm super proud of it. I think I'm even more proud of that than the fat that I've helped people lose because, again, as you know, Clovis is not a nutrition company. Clovis is a lifestyle brand. I just help you get health and fitness and nutrition out of the damn way so you can live the life that you want to live. Super important. That is my goal. My goal is not what you look like naked. I don't care. I'm never going to see you naked. Okay. I care that you are living the life that you want to live unhindered by these ridiculous obstacles like poor health. Okay. That's all I care about. Really big deal. All right. So let's dig in. Now, obviously, I have a few questions that I feel like it's like something's going on in my house or something. I turned the air off, thankfully, but my nose is itchy. Anyway, so obviously I still have a lot of questions about this blood glucose monitoring thing. I'm not going to do this forever. I'm running out of carb sources to test because a lot of these carbohydrates I wouldn't eat in my normal life anyway. I just tested chickpeas, passed with flying colors, but again, I soaked them overnight. I cooked them at really high heat in an Instant Pot, made them smooshy and stuff, right? But they did pass the test. So I still have some questions lingering about this glucose thing. So let's dig into a couple of those. Then we're going to get into some things that are off of that topic because we've really been talking about this blood glucose thing for 2-3 weeks at this will be the third AMA really that we're digging in and talking about this stuff, but I don't mind as long as you guys are interested in it. I'll talk about it to the end of time. Clint, I need to figure out how to quit mine. There is no reason why any human being with a brain in 2019 should not be able to quit their primary job. If they're leaving their house to go to a job every day, like a 9-to-5 type thing, there's no reason you can't quit your job. It just means that you haven't learned enough and haven't explored enough on how to do that because the mainstream won't teach you how to do it. They want to keep you a little worker bee, okay? But I promise you, you come to me, tell me what your income is, and we can replace that with money via other means of you getting in your car and driving to some place you have to go to. I am 100% convinced of that right now in 2019, right? I launched another company a week and a half ago, so that's a little bit under wraps, but yeah, I literally launched another company, just gonna see how it goes. Why not, right? Why not own 3 companies now? There's no reason not to, right? And an Airbnb, that's kind of like a company. So why I got 4 companies now? You just do it. You just do it. That's it, okay? All right, so question. I've been fascinated by the testing you've been doing with foods and your blood glucose. I can't wait to try it out. Do other factors play into how the food will affect your blood glucose other than immune response? For example, if you had done a hard workout prior to eating the food versus not done a hard workout, could a food that tested safe one day not be safe another? Now, ideally, no, this shouldn't happen. You shouldn't get false negatives or false positives, and you can make sure by doing this right. The only reason why you would get bad readings is because you're not being meticulous. I'm meticulous about my testing. You should be meticulous about your biohacking always. No exercise, no food, just water. I suppose black coffee if you really want to, but you have to control for all variables. So if you wake up in the morning, test one food, and in that 2-hour window, like if you eat a food and in that 2-hour window before you test, you're drinking black coffee, you now need to drink black coffee for every single other test that you do. You see what I'm saying? You have to control for these variables. It is your job to control the variables when you're doing biohacking on yourself. So if you wake up and you drink a bulletproof coffee with a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of MCT oil at 6 a.m., then test a food at 7 a.m., that's not an accurate test. It's just not. You did not control for variables, right? You did a poor job. So that's the other thing about working out, right? If you do a fasted workout first thing in the morning and then eat a bunch of carbs, of course, your results are going to be way different than if you were fasted and sedentary and tested that food. You go do a glycolytic workout, then yeah, your muscle cells are going to be far more sensitive to glucose uptake. Of course, that's going to change things after the fact. That's why you don't mess with that stuff. There's no reason why one day you would do a workout and test a food and the next day is your rest day and you test a food. And no, it has to be controlled. So what I'm saying is control the variables and do it exactly as I laid out for you in the AMA where I talked all about this, which is do an overnight fast. Ideally, the same number of hours for the overnight fast for every food you test. Because if you do one night, you do a 16-hour fast and then do a food test, well, you will have depleted far more liver glycogen than a night where you did an 8-hour fast. You will have depleted half the liver glycogen, right? So you might not be as sensitive to glucose as an 8-hour fast as you would in a 16-hour fast. That's definitely going to change things, right? Different amounts of liver glycogen could certainly change the body's response. So control for that. Try to make the same amount of fasting overnight for each test. This should be the first food of the day. Should be water only. Again, you can get away with black coffee if you're not drinking 6 cups of it or like super high caffeine, like cold brew or something, right? But it should probably be water only. Eat the food. And for that full duration, the 2 hours before you test your blood glucose, no food, no crazy high caffeine levels, no exercise, no nothing. You are just being a sedentary do nothing for this test, okay? No fitness, no nothing. Then at 2 hours, test your glucose. That's it. It's that simple. Now, after that 2-hour mark, you can do whatever you want. You can absolutely do whatever you want, you know? And like when I had the really negative response with the blueberries, I was at 164 2 hours later. So I went in the garage and did a 17-minute time under tension body weight workout and plummeted my blood glucose from 164 down to 64, right? Just crashed and burned that blood glucose. Got that sugar out of my system because I didn't want it there, right? Absolutely. So yes, of course, these things will change your test results, and that's why you control for them. If you're going to biohack correctly. Quantify your data in a way that is meaningful. Quantify your data in a way that is accurate and consistent, okay? So don't do different things every single morning with different foods, or all your tests are just going to be skewed. You're not going to actually know what's going on, right? Shannon, we'll talk later, Justin. I got to finish this new job. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. You can talk to me anytime you want. You know that. McKenna, I need to quit my job too. Need to read some books, boost my confidence, and email you for guidance. Do it. I mean, when we talk about custom nutrition plans and everything, I also book calls with people. I do consulting calls. Those consulting calls, those hours are your hours. You don't have to jump on a consulting call with me, a coaching call, and ask me how to get 6-pack abs. It doesn't have to go that way at all. You can literally ask me whatever you want. I don't care. I am yours for that hour, right? If you're getting on a coaching consult and you're paying me for that time, that's your time. Talk about anything you want, right? So what else we got here? Okay, so there's another question about the blood glucose. What if I try the blood glucose testing you've been talking about and there end up being no safe carbs for me? Is carnivore my only option? Now, my answer to this one is absolutely not. What you need to remember here is there are very few carbs that are really optimal for this type of testing. Blood glucose is just one form of testing your body's response to a food. It's a pretty great testing tool, in my opinion, but it's not the end all be all. Just because you pass a test with the blood glucose monitor, that doesn't mean that there aren't still lectins at play, or maybe some low level inflammation that's not showing up. The immune response isn't strong enough, right? It doesn't mean that just because you pass that's the other thing. This test is not cut and dry, everybody. I don't want people to be like, I tested bananas on the blood glucose monitor. I can eat 10 bananas a day. I know that people are going to do that, but that's just, it's part of the thing that happens when I put stuff out on the internet is I show people how to do stuff and they run away with it. They turn it into their own thing, or they use it to justify their bad decisions. That stuff does happen. I can't help everybody, right? People's brains are always going to play tricks on themselves. So if you test blueberries and you pass with flying colors, that doesn't mean you should be eating 2 cups of blueberries a day. It does not mean that. I am going to eat chickpeas, sweet potatoes, and beets and whatever else I pass the test with very rarely, right? I eat very little carbohydrates in my life. And that doesn't mean I'm just going to start adding them in to every day. That wasn't the point of this glucose test. This is just for me to make very educated decisions. When I do have carbohydrates, I'll know what direction to go in. The other thing to remember is not all carbs are appropriate for this type of testing. Good luck eating 3 whole pounds of raw broccoli to get 50 grams of net carbohydrates from that broccoli. That would be extremely difficult. I was looking up foods like turnips. I wanted to test turnips. There's just no way. It's like pounds of turnips. I think it was like 5 or 6 cups of turnips I'd have to eat to test 50 grams of net carbohydrates. So really the only foods that this works for is the foods that would probably be problematic anyway, these really high carbohydrate foods. That's why I tested sourdough bread and sweet potatoes and white rice and bananas and blueberries and beets. And even beets, I'd eat almost 3 cups of cooked beets. It was 27 ounces of cooked beets. That was really intense, you know? So first of all, you're never going to be able to do enough testing to just decide that no carbs are correct for you. But it might be that the carbs that you love are not good for you. That could absolutely be, right? Hold on just a second, everybody. We got a little bit of a situation here. That is so strange. Okay, let me check something. Sorry. Huh. Weird. My podcast stopped recording there for a second. But you guys don't care about that. That was just really strange there. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But anyway, I'll have to edit that in the back end. Bummer. The podcast crapped out on me. But anyway, yeah. So just because, you know, a food tests positive doesn't mean it should be in your diet all the time. And some of these foods are really not going to be like, somebody asked me to test coconut milk. I would have had to drink 50 ounces of coconut milk to get that amount of net carbohydrates. Like for some things, this test is just not going to work for all foods, right? But it really works well for these super carb heavy foods. Now, that said, you don't need these super carb heavy foods. You don't need to be eating these foods all the time, particularly if your goal is fat loss, right? I feel like a lot of people saw this blood glucose thing I'm doing and they're like, oh my God, I can test carbohydrates. And if I test positive, I can eat more carbs. No, you still want a custom nutrition plan from me. You still want to hit your macros. You still want to stay within your net carbohydrate macro limit that I give you if your goal is fat loss. Look, guys, the bottom line, there's no nice way to say this. Really high carbohydrate diets or really carb rich, like these starchy carbs or fruit or all these things that people love to eat, these are reserved for human beings with optimal body composition. They just are, okay? By the time a lot of you get to me, you're in a really sick place and you need to heal, and you need to heal for a long time, okay? You guys know that I love you. I do this so you can have amazing lives, but you have to face some realities here that these super carb rich foods are not appropriate for most people who come to me. Most people who come to me still have a ton of body weight to lose, a ton of body fat to lose in particular. They have a lot of adipose tissue to lose, right? If that's the case, you're not in a situation where a high carbohydrate diet is going to be a thing for you. It's just not going to be, okay? That's just the way it goes. So understand that. Now, I don't want you, it's arguable that nobody needs those foods in their diets, even my pro athletes, right? If you're a pro athlete or something, I might be able to teach you how to use carbohydrates post-workout for specific goals and such. And I do that with my athletes, but my athletes still eat way less carbohydrates than a typical American on a standard American diet, right? But to answer your question, no, the only option is not carnivore. That's not it at all. Like carnivore is a therapeutic modality. I go to carnivore with clients very rarely. Very, very rarely when I cannot correct someone's GI issues. And you also have to be your own detective, right? If you're eating a pound of spinach every day and you're having crazy gastric issues, then yeah, that spinach is probably not great for you, right? Maybe we need to rethink that, or maybe try some different vegetables or something. Like we just have to be realistic about this stuff, and we have to be logical and just listen to our bodies, right? For some people, like leafy green vegetables are gonna be a problem. For most of you, you should be hitting your net carbohydrate number with very low carbohydrate vegetables. You shouldn't really be hitting your total carbohydrate number with fruits and sweet potatoes, like just loading up on those things. You don't really need to do that, particularly if the goal is fat loss. You're going to want to stick to low carbohydrate vegetables. Like we said, things like turnips are fantastic. I love turnips. They're so good. Turnips, beets. Beets are actually a very low carb option. You can eat a lot of carbs to hit those net carbs, right? So if you're sticking to like asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, beets, radishes, right? You can go crazy with these foods before you ever hit your carbohydrate numbers. But these real starchy carbs and sugary carbs like fruit and sweet potatoes that people really want to test because they think they can eat more of them, no. You're not going to be able to eat more of them. You still need to stay within your macronutrients or you're not going to lose the fat the way that you want to lose the fat, right? Not going to happen. All right, what else we got here? What you drinking? I'm drinking San Pellegrino, dude. All right. Let's see what time we got here. Okay, cool. I'm flying through these questions now. That podcast thing threw me off for a second. I don't know why. It made me nervous because it actually told me that my computer was out of memory, which is not correct. So that's weird. So I'm a little bit skittish right now, hoping that my live feed doesn't die on me. So I can monitor this, which is great when I'm on the computer, but I really hope that something doesn't go wrong with this computer right now. I'm so sorry. What do we got? Yeah, Judy, exactly. This may be why my weight came off so slow. Sweet potatoes were my friend. Of course, everybody loves sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are like Clovis candy. That's really what they are. And I tell people this with Clovis kids. I'm like, oh, your kid won't eat healthy food? Yeah. Sizzle some sweet potatoes on a skillet in grass-fed butter and sprinkle coconut aminos on it with a bunch of sea salt, and your kid will think you're feeding them candy. Right? But this is an issue. A lot of people, they get hung up on this net carbohydrate number because I tell you to hit your net carb number. So what do? They grab the highest carbohydrate vegetable they can find and go, well, if I just eat 200 grams of sweet potato every single day and hit my net carbs, then I'm going to lose fat, right? Not necessarily, because that carbohydrate might not be working well for you at all. Like Judy, you could have been having an immune response to sweet potatoes the whole time and you don't know. It's why you got to be your own detective, right? You always got to be your own detective with this stuff. Glucose will give you some great testing for sure. It's absolutely worth testing. But it doesn't automatically mean a food's safe or that nothing negative's going on in the body. It doesn't automatically mean a food isn't safe either. There could be some crazy thing going on that day with your stress levels or whatever. There could be any number of things. It's just one fun biohacking experiment that I've told you guys about. Blood work is always going to be your best friend at the end of the day for things like low-level inflammation, HSCRP, your C-reactive protein, knowing systemic inflammation, all those numbers, comprehensive metabolic panels, fasted blood insulin levels, fasted blood glucose levels. We got to know those things, right? Blood work's always going to be your best friend for sure. But yeah, people get really caught up in this carbohydrate stuff. It's really crazy. Do you eat nuts regularly? I do not. I don't eat nuts regularly. I think nuts are problematic because they are way too easy to overeat. There are very few people. Nuts are perfectly healthy. I think they're fine. And asking is it okay for gut health? That's entirely specific to the individual. Anything with gut health is 100% individualized. And anyone who tells you that we know a lot about gut health is not correct. We really don't know all that much about gut health, right? So if you have SIBO or Candida, things that are good for your gut health are going to be way different than a person with a normal healthy gut microbiome. So there's actually no way to determine that from one person to another. You have to be your own detective, right? If you have a fistful of cashews every day and every day, an hour later, you have diarrhea, well, let's think about that, but that doesn't mean that's true of everybody. So I actually can't give you blanket statements on what's good for gut health outside of what seems to be generally accepted for gut health. But even that, we're getting thrown for a loop because all the data, quote unquote, that we were pitched about dietary fiber seems to be completely inaccurate. So we really don't know, and we won't know for probably many years, honestly. But I personally do not eat nuts regularly, no. What else we got here? Is there a way to correlate the blood sugar increase after glycolytic exercise with an amount of glycogen used? If a workout spiked my blood sugar by 45 mg per deciliter, that means I use X grams of stored glycogen. Doubtful. And you wouldn't really matter that much, and it would be different from every single one workout to the other would be completely different, even if you did the same thing, because the environment in your body is never going to be exactly the same in terms of how'd you sleep the night before, how long have you been fasted, how long ago did you eat. There's so many variables. There's just no way to do it. That said, there are crazy guys out there like Dr. Peter Attia who have stayed in nutritional ketosis and somehow run calculations on themselves. Now, keep in mind, they're in metabolic wards where they run on a pedal, they sprint on a pedal bike, and they have an actual mask hooked up that tells them when they're burning fat for fuel, when they're burning sugar for fuel. It measures their heart rate, all of their things, their respiratory quotient, and all these things, so they know exactly what they're burning for fuel. And he was actually able to do calculations like, okay, on Saturday, I'm going to ride my bike 200 miles, and he could eat just the precise amount of carbohydrates, do that 200-mile ride, come off the bike, test his blood glucose, and be back in ketosis, which is insane. So he knew like the exact grams of carbohydrates that he would burn. But honestly, there's no person outside of an actual professional athlete would ever need that data. And the trouble that it would take and the money it would cost to figure that out about yourself is just next level. I'd rather die than try to figure that out, honestly. But yeah, people do it. They do these calculations. What do we got here? Had yearly checkup, blood work was off the charts. Good. Thank you for Clovis. Eating our first beef heart tonight. Oh, beef heart's so good. I love it. Killer. We are supposed to hit the carbs. I thought we were just supposed to. No, you're definitely supposed to hit your carbs. Yeah, Sue, when I make you a custom nutrition plan, this thing is incredibly well thought out. Don't try to go around it, right? This is what I always tell people. When you come to me and I make you a plan that you pay me for, don't add your own stuff to it. Don't take away stuff from it. Just really, I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but just do what I tell you. That's it. So if I give you a carbohydrate target, that's something that you want to hit. Now, yes, you don't want to go over the net carbs. I say that very clearly in the email. I say, do not go over net carbs. I give you that hard and fast rule, but I also don't tell you, hey, I gave you 36 grams of net carbs or 47 grams of net carbs. Go ahead and hit 3 carbs. No, because now you're just drastically under eating. Because I've also calculated a specific caloric intake for you that those macronutrients hit that specific caloric intake. So if you're going to sit there and say, I'm not going to hit my carbohydrate number, well, now you got to up your fats because you're not eating enough. And you need to know how to do that calculation where 1 gram of fat is 9 calories and 1 gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories. So it's more than double. Now you got to do this calculation in your brain, right? Good luck with that. So you're better to just hit what I tell you to hit. That's the deal. I got a question. I know where this is going already. I got a question. I have a friend who literally has carbs all day, drinks beer, eats a ton of bread, McCain, fries, etc. It's insane. He's 5'10", 130, scrawny, can't put on a cement. What's the science between individuals? Yes, it's a metabolic issue. Everybody's different, brother. I've been over this over and over and over. This guy's not you. I know what you're doing in your head, and it's not correct, right? Everybody does this. They pick the one fucking outlier that is the outlier to end all outliers. 85% of the American population is overweight and obese. Joel, I'm not yelling at you, but I get this all the time and it drives me crazy. You know one skinny guy. Get over it, right? That's where I go with this stuff. It's just great. Yes, we all know people. One of the front man in one of my bands I was in back in the day, this kid literally ate fast food all day, every day, shredded 12-pack, pecs like mine, biceps like mine, never worked out, period. Never worked out, right? He was an African-American kid. His genetics were different than mine. Kid's ripped to shreds, and he's older than me. He's just gonna be ripped to shreds, right? That doesn't mean he's not insulin resistant. Doesn't mean he's not pre-diabetic. Doesn't mean he's not gonna become a diabetic. Doesn't mean he's not gonna die of heart disease. Blood work doesn't lie. Physique lies all the time. I can tell you right now that Instagram is full of shredded 12-pack ab models that don't work out and eat like shit. Their entire life has been based on their genetics. Part of why Clovis exists is because I had a girlfriend like this who was an Instagram model, literally just pictures of her ass in a thong on Instagram, right? She ate Sonic almost every day, right? When I met her, partying in college, right? She was literally eating Sonic, eating hash brown potato tots, whatever the hell they call them, milkshakes, ice cream, Taco Bell at 3 a.m, drunk as shit on Jägermeister, right? Shredded abs, perfect squat booty that people want to see pictures of. Don't focus on outliers. Don't. Look around you, brother. Go to an airport and look around and tell me that like, oh, I should eat carbs because I know this one skinny guy. That one skinny guy has metabolic dysfunction as well. He probably is not absorbing nutrients properly, probably has leaky gut like crazy. And if we tested his systemic inflammation, probably be nuts, right? It's crazy. Don't focus on this stuff. All right. Megan, fermented food, good to help heal most people's guts. No, that's the thing. We got to be very careful here. This stuff is very, very specific to individuals. Don't do things just because other people do them, ever, right? You have to keep this in mind. A good test for this, wake up in the morning, fasted, empty stomach, eat like 3 or 4 tablespoons of your favorite fermented food. Sauerkraut, get like Bubby's fermented sauerkraut or homemade fermented stuff or whatever. Make sure you're getting fermented stuff, not pickled stuff. Pickled stuff is not fermented, right? So make sure you're getting fermented things and eat 3-4 tablespoons of it on an empty stomach. Sit around and wait, see what happens. Because again, If I don't know what your gut health is, you might have SIBO. You might have a bacterial overgrowth. You might have candida. That's a specific type of bacterial, basically a bacterial infection in your gut. You might have these things. You might have leaky gut. You might have gut dysbiosis that I have no way of knowing. Therefore, I don't know if fermented foods are good for you. There are these general ideas that fermented foods tend to be health promoting, but then there are guys like Paul Saladino, one of the most brilliant doctors I know, running around saying that they're not health promoting, that they might have some negative things. So the answer to that question is I genuinely don't know, and it's up to you to find out. So Clovis, for me, there's always going to be a bit of guesswork here because I don't live in your body, right? I don't live in your body. I can't tell you how you feel. I don't know how your stomach feels. I don't know what your stools are like unless you tell me over and over and over. And this would be like a Justin in your pocket type scenario where I have a, hold on. My computer's getting weird again, guys. Am I still live? Somebody leave me a comment right now. Crap. Hold on just a second. Okay. I think I'm good. Am I still live, everybody? Yeah. Okay. Whew. I think so. Jeez. It's sending me warning messages again. Urgh. I'm really sorry, everybody. Give me just a second here. Man, we've gone so many weeks without any kind of technical difficulties. This is so strange. All right. We might, we might end up doing another live. Kicked you out a few minutes ago. Live. Okay, I'm still live. All right, I'm just going to keep making this this little pop-up warning. I'm just going to keep Xing out of it and making it go away. That's really irritating, but it's okay. Let's see here. I'm really sorry, guys. I know this is probably super annoying right now, but I just got to do this real quick. This is crazy. All right, so I'm just gonna run something here in the background. As long as I'm still live, I'm super happy. But yeah, so again, I can't make blanket statements about gut health. I just can't, okay? So fermented foods, good for some, probably definitively not good for others. Same thing with probiotics and prebiotics, right? If you can't just throw a bunch of probiotics in your system and hope that it's perfect, right? Because you really have no way of knowing that if you don't know your health. So, all right, let me finish this. Jeez. Really sorry about this, you guys. I'll fix this. All right, you know what? I'm going to quit this. And I'll fix it on the back end. All right, technical difficulty. That should fix things. Hopefully, I just shut down a couple of processes on the computer. I'm really sorry, guys. That's super annoying. But yeah, so there's no way of me telling you that fermented foods are great for you. There's no way of me telling you that prebiotics are good for you. Prebiotics can be particularly dangerous if you have something like SIBO or candida, like some kind of bacterial overgrowth in your gut. That prebiotics can be particularly dangerous for sure, because then you're just gonna be feeding bad bacteria, which is very, very dangerous. You don't want to do that, not even a little bit, right? You got to make sure you don't do that. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Man, this is really bugging me right now. It's distracting. Okay, so another question that we had is, I've fallen off the wagon and not been Clovis for quite some time. Should I wait 30 days before doing the carb glucose test you've been talking about? And the short answer to that is yes, you should probably wait 30 days. The long answer to that is it depends on what falling off the wagon means to you. Now, for me, falling off the wagon means like, oh, I ate an extra serving of sweet potatoes this week. Like that's what falling off the wagon is for me. Or like I had multiple pieces of dad's homemade paleo bread on Sunday dinner, or the keto coconut blondies that we made for family dinner. I had 2 pieces, right? Like, or some extra dark chocolate. That's what cheating looks like in my world, or like falling off the wagon looks like in my world. Now, for most people, that's not the case. Most people, my worst meal is like their healthiest meal if they're coming from a standard American diet. So this is all just kind of subjective here. It's like, if you tell me you're falling off the wagon and that means you're like drinking Mountain Dew and eating Ben and Jerry's, we have to have a serious conversation about how to get you back on track for sure. That's very important, right? But if your falling off the wagon looks similar to my falling off the wagon, then it's probably not a big deal. You don't really have to worry that much. But yeah, anytime you're going to do this glucose testing, like if you've been Clovis for 6 months and you say you've fallen off the wagon, and fallen off the wagon is like you've just gone over on your carbohydrates or had like extra servings of dark chocolate and sweet potato or whatever. No, you probably don't need to go 30 days before you do some blood glucose testing, because if you've been Clovis for a long time, you can always just reset your system with a quick fast, right? So a 16 to 24 hour fast for people who are already fat adapted, like if you've already been Clovis for quite some time, you really need between 16 and 24 hours to like completely deplete your liver glycogen, right? You're just not storing a ton of glycogen in the body as a Clovis person. Your metabolism's already different, right? So you don't need to worry about that as much as somebody coming from like a standard American diet would, assuming that you've been Clovis for a long time and that you're falling off the wagon isn't complete and utter nonsense. You know, that's really, this is really just depends on what falling off the wagon is, your definition of it, okay? Okay, so this next one is a big deal, right? Because I talked about this in AMA number 80. So you're going to want to go back and watch AMA number 80, whoever asked this question. I believe this was an anonymous question here, I think. But yeah, so we're going to talk about cholesterol briefly because I really went deep on this in AMA number 80, but I want to touch on this because this person seems a little bit scared and I totally get it. And I want you to know that my cholesterol numbers are, according to the mainstream, my cholesterol numbers are probably way worse than yours. So yeah, let's jump in. I'm going to read you this. Recently went for annual physical. Since I started eating Clovis 3 months ago, my total cholesterol has jumped from 147 to 266. My LDL-C has more than doubled, which, be careful, LDL-C is a calculated amount. It's not an actual amount. Has more than doubled from 81 to 165. Of course, my doctor wants to put me on meds. I told her no thank you, and that I can fix this by tweaking my diet. I'm going to jump in here and say you don't need to fix this. We'll get there, right? It says, I'm still hitting my macros, but have removed eggs. Have removed eggs, butter, and other saturated fats from my Clovis diet. Do you have any other suggestions for someone like me struggling with cholesterol while eating Clovis? Also, when I retest, I hope the doctor will test for my LDLP. Okay, so number one, you know your doctor's not a lipidologist because they didn't test for LDLP. So that's clear, cut, and dry. Your doctor doesn't know what they're doing with lipidology. They did not get you an NMN lipid profile, a full NMR lipid profile. If they didn't give you a full NMR lipid profile or don't know what an NMR lipid profile is, you need a new doctor to consult you on cholesterol. Here's what bugs me about this post is it's saying, I can fix this by tweaking my diet. I have removed eggs, removed butter, removed saturated fats to fix this. To fix what? Nothing is wrong with you here. Here's another big problem that we have with this doctor right now. They didn't test your C-reactive protein or your homocysteine or your other inflammation markers. Atherosclerosis is an inflammatory condition, right? Without inflammation, you cannot have cardiovascular disease. Events caused by cardiovascular disease are the direct result of inflammation, cannot happen without inflammation. So I will give you an example. My LDL particle number is off the charts, out of reference range. My total cholesterol is well over 300, okay? My triglycerides are extremely low. My HDL is fantastic. My inflammation in my body is so low, it's below reference range and can't be tested. Literally, the inflammation in my body, there's none. It's so low, it doesn't show up on the most cutting edge blood work. I have zero inflammation. Therefore, I am at zero risk of atherosclerosis, cardiovascular events, right? But that said, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on the internet. This is not medical advice. I'm telling you that I have decided to completely reject the mainstream here and ignore what everybody says about LDLP. Because LDLP, total cholesterol, these are markers of cardiovascular disease in a sick population. Remember, over 85% of the population is overweight and obese. They all have systemic inflammation and high LDLP and high total cholesterol and really high triglycerides, really low HDL, right? This is the thing. You need so much more information. Doctors don't check for anything. They don't check for the things that they need. You don't have the whole puzzle. You're looking at 3 pieces of a big giant puzzle and you're going, oh my God, my doctor wants to put me on meds, but I can fix this. I can fix this. Your cholesterol went up on Clovis because it was supposed to. Because high cholesterol seems to be quite protective of Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, all these aging diseases that we think of, these Western diseases, all these things that we think of just diseases of aging, but they're really just bullshit. They shouldn't exist. They're literally because of a standard American diet. We only know what high cholesterol looks like in a sick population. So someone like me, according to the work of Dr. Feldman, you can look up Dr. Feldman and lean mass hyperresponders. I have very low body fat, very low triglycerides, very high HDL, which is known as like the good cholesterol, right? But my testosterone number is high, my LDL particle number is high, and I have no inflammation in my body. Okay, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I take no responsibility for you taking this information. I reject the entire mainstream, and I know that I'm healthy as a horse. I'm actually healthier than the people that they claim have good cholesterol numbers. I know that in my brain based on my own research, and you need to decide for yourself if you are willing to trust the mainstream and get on a statin and do all that bullshit and think you want low LDL particle number and think you want low cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. There are literally no studies that show that low cholesterol is good for longevity. There are none, okay? So you really want to think about that. So that's totally up to you, but you need to decide. There comes a point in every Clovis journey where you need to decide if you're literally going to tell the mainstream to fuck off and not care about what they say, because the doctors are going to try to scare you 100%. They're going to keep trying to scare you. They're going to keep giving you advice based on their medical textbooks and their pharmaceutical drugs. So you need to make that decision for yourself. I cannot make that decision for you, and I will not. And I won't take responsibility for that because I'm not a doctor, right? You need to decide. My decision is made. I'm pretty healthy, everybody. I'm doing good, right? So, I mean, that's just where I'm at. So you gotta just understand that at some point you need to make a decision for yourself. What is the Clovis diet? Does somebody have to be a client of yours to get a hold of the approved foods list? To get a hold of the approved foods list, yes, you need to have a membership to I Am Clovis. There is a free 7-day trial to the membership of I Am Clovis at iamclovis.com/start. So iamclovis.com/start, you need to become a member to get the approved foods list. You get full access to the membership website for 7 days, and then it's $27 a month after that. When you sign up for the free trial, I highly recommend you get a custom nutrition plan from me. Wink, wink, smile, nod. Why? Because the custom nutrition plans as they stand today will no longer exist very soon because I'm working on things in the back end. Right now, you get a custom nutrition plan from me for $74 out the door, and that is insane. I can't believe I still do that. Honestly, it's ridiculous. I want to help people, but it's just not sustainable. It's a value trade, everybody. The value that I'm giving is worth a fuckload more than $74. I mean, it's astronomical, right? You just ask the people in this group if what they paid for a custom nutrition plan was worth it. So anyway, and I know, Megan, you're not saying like it's expensive or anything. I'm talking out loud here. I'm just like, I can't wrap my head around the fact that I'm still doing that. So I need to change things on the back end for sure. And that's going to change. I've created over 1,000 custom nutrition plans in the last 18 months alone. So you can go to iamclovis.com. You can check the transformations page. You can see before and after pictures. You can follow me on Instagram, see the transformations over there. I'm in the process of gathering more testimonials and all those things. But this is all going to change. So if you don't have a custom nutrition plan, you're going to want to get your hands on one pretty quick because it's going to end up costing you more in the long term if you don't get one now. But no, you don't need a custom nutrition plan. I give you all the basics of Clovis. You can go to youtube.com and look at the most frequently asked questions. I have tons of free information on YouTube. Clovis.show is every podcast I've ever done for free. Obviously, every major podcast platform for free. Facebook.com/The Clovis Culture, the page you're on now. All my videos for free. I have nutrition blogs on iamclovis.com. I have nutrition blogs on Clovis.show. All my content is free, everybody. What I really do with these custom nutrition plans is I just put it all together in a very convenient way so you don't have to dig through my 150, probably 200 hours of content at this point and piece together your own little nutrition plan. And the custom macros, I calculate those for you myself. And I promise you, you can go to any other calculator that you want to try on the web and you're not going to get good macros run for you. I have my own algorithm. I literally wrote my own algorithm for how I do custom macros. So that's how we do it. All right, what else we got here? Let's see. So that's the cholesterol question is a biggie, right? That's a big problem for people. So let's see. I want to see what direction I want to go in here. Let's see some of these other questions. So we talked a bit about fermented foods. That was another question that I had. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so yeah, okay, we know the question about eggs. Somebody who's eating eggs every day, and this goes with the cholesterol question that we just got as well. Eggs are amazing. I can answer this question in a very short, sweet sentence. I eat somewhere between 6 to 8 eggs every single day. I eat between 6 and 8 eggs every day, usually 8. I eat eggs like crazy. I think they're literally one of the most perfect foods on planet Earth. I'll grab you a note here because I wrote an article that was pretty good called In Defense of Eggs when there was that crazy egg debacle going on online where people are saying that eggs were bad for you again, which is absolutely ridiculous and just not true in any way, shape, or form. So let me grab you a link for that. You can read this article called In Defense of Eggs. No, they aren't going to kill you. So I'll post that